All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 14. This is Ivan C. We're from the Black and Brown Movement.
Devious.
Devious. Bienvenidos a mi raza. Bienvenidos aquí a nuestro afroamericano y latino movimiento. El número 14. Mi nombre es Iván Castillón. And so I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to my other co-host, Mr. Well, he's going to correct me right now. The red bearded one. The bearded one.
Give me this damn phone, man. He just cannot get it right. He's dyslexic, dude. It's Red Beard, the feared one. Those who hide from the sun. See, look, you got me messing up. Red Beard, the feared one. Those to despise are the ones who hide from the sun. Sun. Yo, next. Ricky Lee Compton over here.
Bienvenidos a mi gente. How you doing out there, ladies and gentlemen? I just thank you. Have a blessed day, and I hope you're having a blessed day, rather. And I just thank you that we're able to do this today. Thank God. And here goes my brother, MadverblzOne.
These nuts. That's what's up. Allah.
You heard it right, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it right.
You heard the left.
You heard it to the... Oh, yeah, to the left. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are once again. Here we are once again. Black and Brown Movement Radio Podcast, episode 14. And it's official for today. We're not in the studio out, but we're actually hanging out, in the street.
Tell them what's up. Say one movement.
Hold on. Let me go pass it to Amari. She's going to say it right now. Say it, Amari. Movement. There you go. Yeah.
Camera side there, folks.
That's right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Well, today's topic we're going to talk about, first of all, is not even, what's the main topic for all of us. And before we even go forward with the topic, I'm going to go ahead and actually pass it on to Mr. Brox to go ahead and kick it off with the intro. Go ahead and kick it off, sir.
Yeah, like we do every time about this time. We call this the purpose of the podcast, which is to promote independent underground artists, whether they be graffiti, dancers, painters, poets, DJs, cooks, whatever your art may be. We're here to promote you and positive relations between our black and brown people. We don't discriminate because we are IMC. What is that, everybody? International Multicultural. Yeah, which means we are worldwide. No borders, no boundaries, no limits, and what? No gimmicks. MCs. We're the voice of the people, and we hope that our message is received across the globe, near and far, east, west, north, and south.
That is right, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it right. But there is, that's right, we're worldwide. But also, we need to hear the national anthem. Can we hear the national anthem from both of y'all? From all of y'all.
A little correction, not the national anthem, because
it's the national anthem.
It's the Black and Brown anthem, Black and Brown Movement anthem.
It's the national
Black and Brown Movement. There you go. But we just gotta correct it because it definitely ain't the damn national anthem.
It's all right.
That whole racist stuff. But all right, here it is. Everybody at once. Civilization began in Africa. Through the migration, we arrived in Aslan. From east to west, this makes all people of the sun. Through 400 years of blood, sweat, and tears, and 500 years of resistance. Those things we retain through bravery and persistence. The gospel, the culture, and the music.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. But before we got to hear it in Spanish.
Creemos que la civilización comenzó en África a través de la migración que llegamos a Aslan, a través de 300 años de sangre, sudor y lágrimas, 500 años de resistencia. Solo hay un par de cosas que hemos retenido a través de la valentía y la persistencia, el evangelio, la música y la cultural.
Hallelujah.
There you go. Bless you.
Thank you.
All right, folks. You guys heard it right, ladies and gentlemen. So, like once again, as I was saying, the topic, obviously for this evening is called inspiration. We're gonna go ahead and actually, we're not discussing no politics. We're not discussing anything world, live events at this moment. I mean, for the last 13 episodes, we have been discussing about current events going on nationwide here and worldwide. So today, the topic that we want to go ahead and actually discuss about is basically the inspiration that we want to go ahead and give the knowledge to people out there and provide it for, and pretty much explain our experiences that happened to our lives in a personal level that we're willing to go ahead and expose and explain what happened to all of us individual lives and what inspires us to continue moving on and moving forward. And I'm hoping that this would actually, once you hear, our true life story and what inspires us to keep on moving forward, and which is the reason, why we are at this level where we're at, having this podcast and moving forward with it, to spread the word, to spread the love, to spread the inspiration, the admiration for all of y'all. Once again, you guys will actually see us on our YouTube channel, Black and Brown 88. Make sure if you have any inspirational words you want to go ahead and share with us, comment right below on the YouTube channel. Feel free to go ahead and right there, give us your feedback. Give us a word, as much as we're going to go ahead and inspire, but we would like for you to inspire other people as well. Lately, we've been having a lot, generally, a lot of suicides, a lot of negativity has been going around, and we need to go ahead and inspire these people that there's a second chance of life. There's life to live for. And so we're going to go ahead and discuss about that. Before we move forward, I wanted to go ahead and actually say the only current event I would actually, we will all acknowledge is, we lost two wonderful, great minds. One will be Stephen Hawking.
Peace.
Rest in peace. God bless his soul. The greatest mind in physics. They gave him 2 years to live when he was diagnosed with ALS. But then he decided,
That's what Michael J. Fox had. Not Parker.
No, it's ALS.
My wife said he had Parker. I'm like, no, that ain't what it was.
But
ALS is the Lou Gehrig syndrome.
yes,
Disease.
yes, indeed. So, ALS, they gave Mr. Hopkins 2 years to live, but he ended up living the next 50 years. 50 years of his life. And with his physics and his quantum of discovering the quantum of black holes, kudos to that man. Rest in paradise, Mr. Hopkins. Appreciate all of your knowledge that you shared with us to the whole world. And appreciate you very much.
Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory. And also the other individual I'm speaking of, so great mind, great hip hop artist as well.
Craig Mack.
Craig Mack, rest in peace.
What's his name also?
Any words to say about Craig Mack?
Oh, Craig Mack, you know what? He had that one hit, and it was dope.
Flavor in your ear.
Flavor in your ear, you know what I'm saying? I heard some other songs from him. They was dope, and give him props, Anytime we lose somebody that soon and that young at 46 years old, I'm 45 going on 46 May 3rd, it hits home, so. But in piggybacking off of what Ivan C. was talking about regarding the inspiration, we just want to talk to the people. We want to talk to the people, man. We want to tell them that, no matter what it is you're going through, no matter how bad it is, it can always be worse. We want to inspire the people with our individual stories because, everybody's got their own story, and we just want to give you all of ours here. Us four hosts between MadverblzOne, NoMakk, and Ivan C. And so, we're gonna let you hear a little Craig Mack right here, a little flavor in your ear, just to commemorate his life. That ain't Craig Mack, that's Biggie, but it's a remix of Flavor in Your Ear, you know what I'm saying? So you get the picture. We over here popping these PBRs like we do beer and bullshit, but today we decide we're not going with the politics. You know what I'm saying? We going with the inspiration. And again, we just want to talk to the people, man. We want to inspire y'all with our story. Let you know that, you know what, no matter what you're going through, you know, you can get through it. You know, you can do a podcast, you can do music, you can do whatever it is you want to do. You know, you just have to want it and you have to go out and get it. You know what I'm saying? You got to do some research, you got to do some work and whatnot, but, you know, it can be done. So, you know what, I'll just go ahead and kick off my story. You know, I didn't grow up with my biological father. I'm actually named after the father that raised me. And, you know, he was a black man and, you know, he raised me up until I was 13 and until he fell to eventually to drug addiction. And, you know, that was a tough time in my life. And, you know, I'm the oldest of 5 and, you know, I felt like I ended up having to grow up, you know, quicker than, you know, normal. And I ended up, you know, having a lot of responsibilities at a young age. You know, I went through depression, you know, about age 16. In all honesty, I had a thought of suicide, and that thought didn't last too long because no matter what, I feel like God instilled in me that love of self, you know. And before I even knew God personally as my Lord and Savior, he was always there. And, you know, that's my number one inspiration, you know. Later on in the podcast, you'll hear our top 5, which I'm just going to give you a preview of what it is. It's our top 5 inspirational moments, and so you'll hear that. But, you know, God and his miracles definitely are my inspiration every day. And so, you know, a little bit of my story, you know, again, I was one of, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the only one in my entire family to go straight from high school to college. And, you know, I went to college for 2 years straight out of high school. And, you know, it was a blessing and one of the best, if not the best experiences in my life. And I wrote something at a young age called College Material. And really the story behind that was I wasn't sure if I was good enough to be college material. You know, coming from where I came from, you know, a really poor background. You know, like I said, Pops fell to drug addiction. Mom's was, you know, basically single mom and, you know, worked all the time. Those times when we was on the county, I remember eating beans and rice for a month straight. You know, I remember coming up real poor and I don't know if anyone out there can relate to this, but I remember, you know, having to wear pro wings and, you know what I'm saying, having to, you know, hand-me-down clothes and shoes and getting bagged on at school, you know, and, you know, it was a rough time having to fight, you know, verbally and physically, just, you know what I'm saying, the whole persona of, you know, what you got and what you ain't got and whatnot. And so, you know, I made it through all that. I made it through high school, played a little sports, whatever, got to college, and, you know, didn't know if I could do it or fit in or make it, you know, but I did. And any of you youngsters out there who might be in a similar situation, you can make it too. So in a nutshell, that's my story, man. We doing the podcast, one of the founding fathers of the movement here. You know, we doing music, we doing fashion, clothing. You know, I wrote a book that'll be coming out soon. You know, I've written many rhymes and books of poetries, and I've experienced a little bit. I've traveled a little bit. I've done some things, and through the grace of God, you know, knowing anything without him is not possible, but anything with him is. So I'm gonna pass the mic over to Ricky over here, Compton, and NoMakk, and let him tell his story.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know where to begin, so I guess I'll just start young. Anyhow, when I was younger, I grew up on South Central LA, like most of us have. I was moved around a lot, however, and later on in life. But I remember growing up in an abandoned apartment building. You know, we had no lights, no lights, no gas, no mom, no dad. It was just you know, it was basically, it was rough. You know what I mean? I had to take care of my little brother. You know what I mean? There was times where we didn't have food at all in the house. You know what I mean? Of course, my mom was in interactive addiction at the time. You know, but at the same time, you know what? I think that some of that stuff that we had to go through, as that, you know, it made us stronger as we went along in our adulthood. It made us appreciate the things that we have. But I remember that being happening, and you know, so my dad ended up coming get me, you know, and that's right around the time that I was introduced to Franco and Marcus and my other brothers, Silas and Josiah, and my stepmom Dolores and my sister Amber, and of course Amanda, who came later. But you know, I remember coming out of being a wild child, as I would call it, because I was able to do everything and anything I wanted to. I roamed the streets as a kid, so it was like I was an adult. Basically, we stood out till wee hours in the morning. But after having to go live with my dad, you know, I had that spirit, that wild spirit in me, and my dad had to kind of curb it. So he felt like it was necessary to discipline us. You know, sometimes he went overboard, but for the most part, there was love in his heart when he did it, I imagine, and I would like to believe. You know what I mean? My dad, you know, he disciplined us sometimes. I ended up eventually running away from my dad. We had some really good memories, though. I mean, it was that I learned that what the family structure would be like had you had a mom and a dad around, because I had a stepmom as well. But of course, I didn't look at her. I looked at her as a mom because my mom, you know, wasn't around at the time. But yeah, and so that's just the structure that I had to go through and had to deal with. But after coming out of that, I kind of thank God that happened, because I wouldn't have ran into my brothers Franco, Silas, Josiah, and my sisters Amber and Amanda. So I'm really thankful for that happened, because you know, in that process, it took me from just being this kid off the street to showing me structure. And you know, and actually I got really good grades, so it turned around. My life really got turned around at that point. And so, you know, I ended up going to different high schools, because I ended up running away from my dad and ended up in the system. So I ended up in the group homes and you know, and having, you know, social workers and having court, child's court. When I first ran away, I remember going to this place called Angel's Flight. Shouts out to Angel's Flight, by the way. They're a children's homeless shelter from kids from 10 and up, 10 to 17. So I ended up going to there, and there was a lot of schooling that took place in that place. There was a lot of arts that was put into my life and in front of my face, and taught me, you know, different things. And I was glad and thankful for that place, because after I ran away, I went to my grandmother's house, and my grandmother told me she couldn't keep me because she couldn't afford me. So I remember watching this movie, what is it called? I think it's called Where the Day Takes You. Well, anyways, I watched the movie, and after that movie, I had to leave because I told my grandmother I was going to watch it. And so at the end of it's funny how this happened, because that movie comes on right when she tells me I have to go. So at the end of this movie, it's about runaways, and at the end of the movie, they end up giving us the runaway hotline. It's funny how that happens. It just happened to be that on that TV that day. You know, I think that God was intervening right there by showing me that number. You know, and later on, I ended up in placement. And so in one of the group homes, in the group home, it was Newman's group home, and this is the place where I'll mention my top 5 later, because it has partially to do with this place. I ended up receiving God and receiving Christ, and going to church and getting baptized in that place. So I'm really thankful for it, as well as I had to go to I got to go to different schools. I went to Reseda, I went to Westchester, to Venice. I ended up back at the high school. Had I stood with my mom, I would have ended up graduating from. But later on, I got emancipated out of the group home, and I had to go live back with my grandmother. And I eventually graduated from, like I said, from the high school that I would have graduated from had I stood with my mom. It's Huntington Park Spartans. So when after I graduated from there, I thank God I graduated, because I barely did. You know, I got kicked out. I eventually got kicked out by my grandmother. So because I had already turned 18 senior year, or mid senior year, I should say. And so in order for me to survive, I had to get a job at Subway and go to high school. So of course, in order to get the job and get the hours that I really needed, I had to pretend like I was a dropout in order to get those full-time hours. So there was days that I didn't go to school. There was days that I got scheduled during school to go to work. But I had to balance this out, because I had to pay rent with my cousin who we were renting an apartment with, and go to school, and go to work, and go to school. I think that was the most hardest work that I've done as a youngster up until that point. That was really that I did something really hard for it. But in between that time, this was around the time that I started using meth, and I got caught up in that addiction. And later on, I dabbled in and out of it. And if it wasn't for my brother Marcus and Franco being so detrimental in motivating me not to do things like that and showing me other ways to do things, and music-wise as well, I don't think that I would have had the ground that I had to work with. So after that, I ended up going up to Washington to go visit my mom's. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that I could say negatively that happened, but it's all, I think it was all in motivation for God, to use for me, to motivate me and mold me to be the man that I am today, and to go through and experience the things that I had to go through as a child. And I think the most part about it is that God used these things to teach me so that I could later on help other people out and not let them go down that road, and so he could use me in an area that he would do it. So later on, let's fast forward. I want to fast forward real fast. I ended up in Washington, going back up there with my mom. She ended up being sick. I came back to LA because my dad had passed. And that was really a turning point for me, because up until that point I was caught up in my active addiction of meth. And so when my dad died, it kind of changed my thought pattern. It really, I didn't get really to do too much closure with them, but as I would have wanted, but I got some. And it really dawned on me, now I only have one parent left, and at the time my parent was sick, so I felt like I had to be there. Like God had spoke to me and was like, that's your assignment. And so and we learned in church that when you're given an assignment, to see that assignment out, because it's God appointed. And so I felt like that had to be done. And so I came here to LA for my dad's funeral, and was gonna stay, but something inside me just had to be to the point where I had to go finish that assignment out. And so I did. I came back to Washington, and a year and a half later my mom passed. And you know what? I saw it out to the end with her. And I think that was more a bigger turning point for me when I lost both my parents. And having gone through that experience, I know one thing, that the major thing that I learned from it was to appreciate the things that we have, because you never know when they're going to be taken from you. And you know what? I'm thankful, because Jesus, and what I got to do after that is I went into a men's Christian home, and luckily, should I say blessedly, I was blessed to be able to learn the Word of God, and to be able to minister to homeless men who I also was one at that time, because I was living in a men's Christian home. And so the people who had owned that group home were like, you know what? We see something in you that we don't really see in you, and you have a calling on your life, and it's to be a minister or even possibly a preacher. But if you really think that's in you, step up. And I did. I actually started studying the Word, giving out sermons to the men, and counseling some of the men in there. And it was really a great experience for me, because that rounded it. It came full circle in a sense. It rounded me out to be focused on that. And you know what? I just thank God, and I give thanks to Him and praise to Him that I was able to survive all these things. And I just want to give a shout out to the homeless people out there right now. If you're homeless, don't give up. You know what I mean? You just keep fighting, and your day will come eventually. God is looking out for you. I know you probably don't feel that way about it right now, but if you just keep striving towards what your goals are, you can eventually get out of that. Because I myself was homeless, and I just want to say to you guys out there that God loves you, and if you haven't accepted Jesus, you should. And I guarantee you that if you pray for 30 days, you'll see a change. And so I just thank you. That's what I wanted to share, and I'm gonna pass the mic to Ivan right here, my brown brother, and let him give his story. I appreciate it. Thank you. Have a blessed night.
All I can say is wow. Speechless. And obviously not in a negative matter, but this is more, once again, like everybody has their own individualities of what everyone has gone through. And that's a lot of respect and love. And I hear my brother Brox, my brother Compton, Ricky. I hear him out. Very inspirational, very Very touching. When it comes to me, I will just, my story of myself, I mean, both my parents passed away when I was 11 years old. My mother died 2 days before Christmas. So it wasn't the best Christmas of my life, which I know it's not an excuse, but which is kind of why I'm not a holiday person. But I try to be, obviously, as much as possible with my brothers here, family. I consider them family. My father passed away, 45 days after. He got murdered. He got shot for saving a woman's life. And so let me by myself be. Well, me and my sister, but my sister was not living here. She was living out, Mexico at the time being. Then my sister got murdered a couple years after. She got murdered after. That one's a long story to explain. It's a tough one, that one. All I can say about that one is territorial-wise. But unfortunately, she was part of that, which is no pun intended. But that was, that's Mexico, unfortunately. So, well, that inspired me being here now as the only child. That would inspire me throughout the years as living here on my own, without them being here, push myself on my own. I was 11 years old. I was raised by my aunt, which is my father's sister. Was raised with two cousins that, were I consider my brothers. I had ups and downs. One of them was a yin and yang, which is, you're always going to have a good and evil brother. And that's always going to be that story. And so, torching your life and which is it's a soft subject to touch because, they might hear this podcast, which at the end I really don't give a shit. It's just, that's the past. This is now. But back then, my childhood wasn't the greatest. I literally can't tell you that my childhood literally barely had one for myself. I can say that the death of my parents made him mature quickly as possible. I didn't start working at the age of 13. I started obviously gardening at the age of 13 years old. Started working at the Slauson Swan right there on Slauson and Western. Working at a Chinese food restaurant, making $30 a day for 8 hours, cutting 2 bags of onions, being a prep cook for a Chinese food restaurant, making $30 a day for 8 hours, childhood slavery. And also, working in the gardening on the weekends, making like, $20, a weekend, a day. So I knew the struggle of it, but I never gave up on it. I never gave up because the inspiration that gave me was my father. My father was working 2 jobs, working at KFC, working as an assistant manager, then became a manager, working at nighttime in the graveyard shift, working at El Tapatio Tortilla, which you guys should know about that. The tortilla shop is called El Tapatio Tortilla, working there during graveyard shifts. So he barely had to sleep. He would just try to support us. Trying to support all the family and everybody else. And it was just that gave me the inspiration of me to push it more and not allow to my parents' death get to me. There was times that I wanted to commit suicide when I was, between my 11 years old to like 13, 14, even to my 16 years old. There was times people that knew me throughout my age, maybe never knew about this, but I'm exposing it. There was times that I just wanted to go. There's times that, not today any longer, because I'm glad it's already over. But prior years before, I was in depression. So that's what caused me to fall in depression. But God gave me the second chance of life, and God came to my life, and He preached His word to me, and I needed to get myself up, and I met, throughout my life, I met a lot of wonderful people in my life, and the people that came and go in my life, that came and gave me some knowledge, I appreciate all of you. I love you all for that. And the ones that are present ones now, very much appreciative, and thank you for being here beside me. The message that I pretty much wanted to say about this type of topic and inspiration is that regardless, the one message I will give is, if you have a discussion with your parents, with any family member that raised you, don't give them the cold shoulder. Don't ever do that. You always want to tell them that you love them every day, because the next day there will probably never be a next day. You always want to tell your loved ones that you love them. Show them how much you love them. It doesn't have to be an occasion. It could be give them flowers unexpectedly. Hey, give them an unexpected breakfast, or treat them for lunch and dinner. Show appreciation. Appreciation that the people that inspired you, who supported you from your downs and lows, from your downs and ups, show appreciation. Because you never know, the next day they will never be there. And so the best thing to do is never hold any grudges, never hold any hate, any remorse, none of that towards your families, to any of your relatives. Show appreciation of the ones that inspired you, the ones that supported you, and the one that appreciates of your human being, of being yourself. Show that appreciation to them, because they deserve that. Because at the end of the day, they could go down 6 feet under, going up to the heavens and saying they did their job, they did it right, that they raised the child right to be a successful person, even without them being there. It doesn't matter if it's your parents, aunts, any relatives that raised you, or anybody of your heroes, your inspirers, your admirers that you admire. Give them that appreciation, because that never comes. So, that's pretty much my story of my life. Why, I support antidepressant, not the pills, obviously, but support people that has that. Support non-suicidal. I have a lot of support, of a lot to help with children, especially to help with everybody else out there that deserves the help that they need. And hit us up, be advised, let us know. We're here. If you guys would like to go ahead and actually like to comment right below in our YouTube channel, Black and Brown Woman 88. Comment right below, share your thoughts, share any thoughts, any feelings, any feedback you would like to give. And if you would like to go ahead and sponsor any foundation out there when it comes to to suicide or depression or anything at all, or any funding, then we'll do the best that we can to go ahead and help as possible, which we do have, which actually I don't have, but the founding fathers do have a non-profit organization in which they help, they help children in need. And Mr. Brox actually will tell you about that in a moment. But definitely, this is a message that we all pretty much want to give out, is giving our message of what we have been through in our lives individually, and giving you that there is hope. Exactly, that there is hope. There's hope in life. Never give up, people. Never feel like you degraded yourself. Never lower your self-esteem to anybody, because if you look at yourself in the mirror, you are great. You will always be great, and you will make a change. doesn't matter. It doesn't have to change the whole world. If you could change one person to 5, or even one only, even especially yourself first, if you're able to do that, you can accomplish a lot of things in life. Always believe in yourself. Always be humble yourself. And always put your self-esteem up to yourself. Don't let nobody or anyone put you down. At all. And all I can say to all our listeners out there, keep your head up. There's always hope. There's always a second chance. And you will succeed of whatever your dreams that you want to believe to. And whatever you want to go through. And whatever you want to get to. You can do it. You could do it. Never give up. That's why all of us here standing here this evening speaking to you, we're here speaking our lives to you guys, our personal lives. Letting you know that we have not given up. I hope that our words inspire you guys. But actually we do have one more individual, which is the main of the founding father that will discuss that. And that will be Mr. Madverblz about his life. Mr. Verblz, are you ready to go ahead and discuss, sir?
It's good.
Give him your story.
I don't got no story. It's my life. It ain't a story. It's a living experience. My youth, tragic. It was dysfunctional. Grew up with a single mom who was my dad too. My dad was never really in my life. He was, more like a rolling stone. I think he was everywhere. Had a variation of children, different places or whatever, but, so it is what it is, but I growed out of it and I turned out good. Childhood was somewhat abusive, struggles, poor, a little bit here and there, but it's the different colors of life that make you what you are and build your character. And if you learn how to take the good out of the bad, you develop something that can be pretty inspirational for yourself and other people. So with that being said, my life is blessed abundantly because I'm here today. It'll be 28 years this year on 4/20. I just get to celebrate life abundantly. It's my second birthday, 4/20, 1990. The day I survived getting busted up with a hot leg. Took 13 or 14 shots all at once. Hit everywhere except for the vital organs. No upper torso. Metal plate in left leg, arm, forearm, walking robotic type shit, but a miracle walking. But I'm here. Childhood was crazy. Didn't grow up with a dad, so I gotta learn how to be a little boy and a young man and defend myself and be the protector of my family, my mom and my sister, different shit like that. I grew up on the blacktop, nigga. So it's nothing. Fighting was nothing. But it's not something I live to do in my life now because that shit don't mean nothing. Fight for something that matters, Like God always say, fight the good fight. That's what I do now. I fight the good fight. And that's just being of good heart and good sound mind and of good morals. But more than that, my life is blessed because, like I said, I'm here. I'm abundantly blessed to be living and breathing, to even be speaking to you right now at this moment about what's inspiring. Inspiring to me is the joy of life, and that's waking up every day. That's what my inspiration is, him letting me wake. So to keep it real basic and simple, I've been through a lot of tragic shit that have been trying to kill me since I was about 3 or 4. But, God has had his hand on me abundantly. I accepted Jesus Christ in 1977, August 7th. Was when I learned the Lord and started growing my relationship. And that's basically what it is, why I'm here. You know what I'm saying? I'm a faith man. And, that's what it is. You learn faith, you know what it is, and you gotta stick with it and roll with it. Do the thick and the thin, man. I gotta just, stay the course, stay on Faith Street. You don't want to get to the end of the road in life and then go in that room that has your name on the door and you see all them packages on the shelves because your ass always kept making left and right turns off the road. So the bottom line to the situation is walk in faith, stay confident and know that God's going to bring you through whatever the trials and tribulations or hardships that you're going through. Everybody's going through some shit. Whether you be in America or in a third world country, everyone's going through shit. But where's your faith at? Who's it in? Is it in God or is it in man? Or is it in statuettes? You know what I'm saying? Those false deities. So, bottom line is about faith, man. That's why I'm here. Faith. I could have walked outside with the pistol, 5 shots versus 16. I don't think I would have won. Probably got shot all up on my chest and not be talking to y'all right now. But I walked in faith. God told me to trust him. And the point being of that story is, when he tells you to trust him, he never tells you that nothing's going to happen. He tells you you're going to get through whatever that shit is that happens. So that's the faith base of it. He didn't tell me what going to happen that night. You know, he knew I was getting ready to get shot because it was already seen before it even happened. It was all part of his plan of my life. But the bigger point is, I walked in faith with him instead of walking in faith in my carnal mind and having that pistol, where I'd have been probably trying to stand there when dude pointed the pistol at me and bust my 5 off. And then nigga, it would have been, you know, a short shootout because I only had 5 shots. That nigga had 16. I probably got chested though, because that nigga his nickname was Hitman. You know, nigga, I'm just a nigga that grew up in the hood and learned how to shoot a gun because nigga was shooting at me and I learned how to shoot back and protect myself. But other than that, fact being what it is, it's all about faith. If you woke up today, smile, be happy. Tomorrow might be not. You know what I mean? Like we was talking about earlier, my man mentioned 46-year-old brother Craig Mack, just congestive heart failure, whatever it was, you know what I'm saying? Gone. Here today, gone tomorrow. I mean, it's happening as we speak, someone's dying, you know? But the problem in this world is we take life for granted. You're worried about material shit instead of the spiritual real shit. So take a moment and reflect. Like, seriously look deep into what your life has been given to you to be, and that's outside of yourself. Like 2 years ago, I think it was like May 2016, I got diagnosed with 2 forms of fucking cancer at once. It's like, you got lymphoma and leukemia. It's like, nigga, what? Really? Oh, okay. All right, God, I'm gonna need you to handle that. I ain't worried about that shit at all. I'm just tell you for real. So I took it mentally. I didn't go, oh my God, I got cancer. Oh, problem people do, and then cancer accelerates. I took an aggressive mentality, like, yeah, fuck that. All right, God, you gonna handle that. I got all these other physical things and health things to deal with that, you know, you got me dealing with because you say I can handle them. So, bottom line of that is, I got 2 forms of cancer, but I ain't had no radiation, no chemotherapy yet to this day. Knock on wood, thank God, because he answered my prayer. I told him to take care of that. So that's what's happening. You know what I'm saying? And then we right here doing what we doing. B&B. Black and Brown Movement, beer and bullshitting, doing this podcast, keeping it real shit, spitting the real shit, living it. So if y'all living today, man, just be thankful. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, look at your children, if you have them, because I've been blessed with 4 beautiful children. A couple of them act retarded, but, you know, it's a life situation. You know what I'm saying? You still gotta love your children despite their stupidities. You know what I mean? Remember when you were stupid as a child. That's the problem is elders today, they forget when they was children and did all the retarded ass shit. So remember when you was a child, and don't abandon your child because they might not do what you want them to do. Encourage them to do good shit, and then when they do make choices, support them. We as black people and brown people, we gotta get off our pedestals and stop trying to have our children live like us or live vicariously through them, and support them to be fucking the shit, you know what I mean? The president or super council member, lawyer, doctor, whatever the fuck, but encourage your kid to go get it. And that means more than your ass got it. Stop being a hater and trying to live to your child vicariously and make them play football and all that shit they might not really want to do. Take a moment, really love your child and listen to them. Sit down and get involved with them. Look in their eyes and see what they feeling. Get outside of your fucking self. You know, and that means the whole world. Everyone that's grown up needs to reflect, take a moment back to being a child. Sit your ass down and watch some cartoons and laugh for a minute. Forget all that shit you're dealing with right now. Just be a kid, have a moment of fun. And let's just enjoy the fucking moment that you breathing. And you know what I'm saying? That's the simplicity of it. And with that being said, I give all praise to God. Allah, you know, Buddha, all y'all who worship those other entities, but y'all know who the real creator is, and that's God, Jesus Christ, the Lord and Savior. You know what I'm saying? The Holy One, who created all this that we living in. So with that being said, I give him all praise and glory, because he blessed me to even be here right now. And I just want y'all to stay faith. You know what I mean? And never give up on God, because he ain't ever going to give up on you. And if you don't know him, you need to hurry up and get to know him, because this world is coming to an end fast. Look at that guy they call our president. So, with that being said, I'm out. MadverblzOne, Hip Hop for the People, Black and Brown Movement, NoMakk Productions. We that shit. Y'all better get with. One love, movement, peace.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You guys heard it right there. I'm hoping that all of our individuality stories that was our inspiration.
Oh, wait, I got one.
Oh, yeah, one more thing.
Hey, and I'm gonna tell y'all like this. Them niggas out there, y'all got children and you're not involved with your kids, but you trying to say you a dad or a father nigga because you might buy some shit. That ain't a father. A father's involved with their kids. Mothers, stop stopping your fathers from being involved with your kids and being haters, crying about what they ain't doing. Let them be. And mothers and fathers, stop putting that shit on your kids. You know what I'm saying? They got enough to deal with already, just this fucked up ass world. With that being said, what I'm saying is, love is the key to all. And if you can learn how to do that, watch how things fall into place, because that's what God works with. If you giving love, he gonna give you love. The blessings only come when you giving love. It is what it is. 1 John 4:7-8, love one another. That's what it is, man. So understand, movement. That's what we doing. We moving, we growing. If y'all want to grow with us, tune in, leave your numbers, leave your emails, comment. You know what I'm saying? We'll reply, and get ready, because we'll be coming live real soon. So holler back, chime in. Remember what it is, episode 14. You know what I'm saying? What's that? 14? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So check us out. Follow us, Black Brown Movement 88. You know what I'm saying? Check me out on Hip Hop for the People on Instagram, Facebook, all those good things. NoMakk Productions, you know what I'm saying? Facebook, Instagram, all them good things. Movement Material Incorporated, Instagram, Facebook, all them good things. And get in touch with us. We doing big things. We got the children organization, cheerleading programs and stuff. We'll be expanding to different things. And those people out there that really want to be involved with community building and building for our children, and y'all got connections to the people that got the money, get in touch with us. We want to open up youth centers all around our cities and states and nationwide, globally. So, but the first one's going to be a 24-hour center right here, Cali, in LA. So please, reach out and touch us. And Carmelo, I need you to get with me, man. Radiotron, we need to get together so we can get these buildings we talked about at our Hip Hop Museum meeting. Universal Hip Hop Museum people, what's up, my ones? Love to you, UHHM. We'll be giving y'all some new stuff soon. So just stay tuned. One love. Universal Hip Hop Museum, fashion representative, Suki D, my sister, what's up? One love to all my folks. Peace.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it very, very right. Once again, I appreciate that all of you subscribers. Appreciate all the listeners that are listening to this. And like I said, once again, leave feedback, leave a comment, leave an inspiration quote, leave quotes for the world to know. You know, that we're here to inspire. You know, that's what we're all about. So, once again, we appreciate all of you guys. Much love. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. But before we do, I'm going to go ahead and pass to Mr. Brock, see if he has anything else to say before we go to a break. Mr. Brock, do you have anything else to say before we go to a break, sir?
I mean, you know, you've heard the stories, man. You've heard everyone's life story, you know, in a nutshell. And I mean, just even though I'm a host, you know, just sitting back listening to my brothers and their stories and knowing pretty much all of their stories, you know, even though I know them, still hearing them to this day, you know, it gets me, you know what I'm saying? So I'm knowing it's got to get to you as well, and I know that you guys can relate to it. So this is what we're doing in this episode, man. We really trying to reach out and really trying to talk to the people, and so I'm hoping you all appreciating it. All right, my peoples, we back from our little break. Yeah, I know we usually do the sports segment right about this time. We're kind of switching things up, and you're going to see coming in the episodes in the near future. We're trying to switch things up for y'all people, man. We about to make our podcast a little bit shorter, do more of them more consistently, and this particular one, we decided we're gonna go ahead and X out the sports segment, but we are gonna finish this episode off with our top 5, and we're gonna keep it as you hear the PBRs popping in the background. We're gonna keep it along the theme of inspirational, and so our top 5 for this episode 14 is going to be our top 5 inspirational moments. So I think I'm going to go ahead and kick it off, and we'll pass the mic, and everyone to get to give out their top 5 inspirational moments. But real quick, again, moving forward, podcast is going to be a little bit shorter, a little more concise, a little more to the point. Sports segment will definitely be back in episode 15. We're still playing with the theme of episode 15, but it's more than likely going to be along the same lines of this episode, and then just trying to switch things up, man. We're going to rotate MCs coming forward in the coming episodes, and just trying to give you guys some new looks, some new listens, and hopefully you'll appreciate it. We haven't gotten any feedback to this point, or not much, and so we just kind of trying to give you us, who we are, what we're about. Leave feedback in the comment section. Tell us what you want to hear. We have no qualms about it, no issues with satisfying the people, so that's what we're doing this for. And so let me just start off with my top 5, and then we're gonna pass it around and go on and finish up, wrap up this episode 14. So my top 5 inspirational moments, I'm gonna start with number 5, and for me it was seeing my brother Marcus give a thumbs up as he was going into the ambulance. I'm sure you've heard in previous episodes he was shot 13 times at once one night. And real quick, the story goes, me and other founding father of the movement, Carlos Barriga, we were across the street when this happened, and we heard the shots, and we just knew that whoever it was not going to come out of that. We knew as many shots as there were, we figured it might have been even more than one person that wasn't making it through that night. But sure enough, as we came out the house, his little sister came back to the back house and told us that it was Marcus that got shot. So their older brothers, came out with their guns, I think a shotgun and a 9, and because they had mad love for Marcus, and so they was trying to see what was up and make sure that he was good. And so in the end of the day, the ambulance finally brought him down the long staircase right there on 28th Street where we grew up, and they had him in the gurney, and they're lifting him into the ambulance. We're all standing across the street, praying, and just like an athlete, getting hurt on the field, and they take him off in the gurney, give that thumbs up, and let you know that they all right. He did the same thing. He's and he's yelling out, "I'm gonna be all right. I'm gonna be all right." That was an inspirational moment for me, just because I'm like, after hearing all them shots, just thinking, not knowing who it was, but thinking whoever it was had to be dead. He wasn't, and he was a fighter, and through God's grace, he made it through, and he's here still with us today. So that was my number 5. My number 4 is gonna be our 44th president, Mr. Barack Obama. Becoming president. The change, that key word change, which is what we're all about, and just having someone of color, in the White House, was inspirational. Him as a speaker was inspirational. Marcus, myself, my wife Nikki, and I think I want to say a couple of my boys, Jalen, Jawan, and maybe even Josiah, were there. He came to LA, and I forget the venue, but we were blessed to be there and hear him speak. And seeing him live, when he was still campaigning to become president, was a blessing. And the man did his thing. Whether you agree with all his politics or not, whether you agree he was a good president or not, I mean, just the way he carried himself, the fact that he was of mixed race, which I can relate with, it was inspirational. So I'll move on. My number 3, 7th grade, I won an art and essay contest, and it was Japanese theme. And so I did a Japanese mural, and I did it in pen and ink first, and then I painted it in watercolor. And I was a little artistic back in my day. I kind of lost that over the years, but I worked hard on that, and God has given me the gift of writing. And so that winning that essay contest, along with the art contest, was definitely inspirational to me and keeping me in my writing, to this day. Unfortunately, because the first place prize was a trip to Japan. And unfortunately, someone from my school, a young Vietnamese cat who I was friends with, he had won the contest the year before. And when it came to him to go to the trip, unfortunately, he didn't have his papers. And so he wasn't able to go. And so our school, because of that, kind of got blackballed. So when I won it the next year, technically, I didn't win it. I guess, they gave me second place or whatever. But my art teacher, who I'll never forget, who was also my English teacher, Pat Harnett, he told me straight up, he said, "You won." And he said, basically that I got dicked because of that situation which happened the year before. So, that was inspirational to me, at a young age. And, I was blessed with that. So, moving on, I ended up going to college up at Humboldt State University, and the highlight of those 2 years was definitely opening up for Cypress Hill. That was a real inspirational moment for me. I had been writing rhymes, and I had worked with a band, a live band, and then I ended up switching into another band and hooking up with this cat named Johnny Pathfinder. He was a Native American cat who could sing. And so he sang, I flowed. We had an upright bassist, a drummer, a DJ, and that was our set. And we got to open up for Cypress Hill. I'll never forget that. That was inspirational. They actually had asked me to go on tour with them, and I contemplated it, but I had to make a quick decision because they was leaving, and I told them, I'd rather do it on my own and see you when I get there, kind of thing. So I don't regret that decision to this day, but definitely my number 2 inspirational moment in my life was opening up in Cypress, up in Humboldt in '92. Number 1 inspirational moment is kind of a combination of things, and first of all is going to be accepting Christ as my Lord and Savior. I grew up Catholic. I left religion alone altogether for a while. When I went to college, I took a religion class, studied all the major religions. Thought, kind of like something from each one. Thought I was going to make my own religion. I thought, it's kind of like a cult. So I kind of left that alone. But, messing with my brother Marcus, Miss Connie Casey Holt, brought me to Bible Enrichment and, International Fellowship Church in Inglewood off of Kelso, and Pastor Bam, Beverly Bam Crawford, she was, the one that helped, inspire me and really get God into me. But twofold into that would be the blessing and all glory to God for me becoming a parent. That I think, and it's happened to me 4 times, and I was there present for 3 of my children, in the hospital, and really seeing, that whole situation of the birth of life. And, they've inspired me from the time they were born to this day. And so that's my number one inspirational moment. So who wants to go next over here? Ivan C, Ricky C, Ricky Lee, Compton Jr.
All right. That is my turn right here. Top 5 inspirational moments. I would say I'll start from 5 to 1. Number 5. Number 5 will be actually, reading and actually poetry. I was, throughout my depressional times when my parents, were gone at 11 years old, I focused on school, focused on my English literature, and obviously my teachers that really helped me out, my English literature, read different novels. One of my favorites is The Dangerous Game. I like that one. That was very a great novel. I like the whole concept of it. And I just like reading, history. I love, fiction, non-fiction, novels. I like to read poetry as well. I love reading poetry, and poetry, obviously by Shakespeare and from others. Inspired me to write, to actually write poetry, to write literature. And because of that, it inspired me, and it advanced me of my my English literature a lot. So that's like another inspiring moment, and I still want to continue to keep on writing, which I do here and there. Obviously, I don't put it out in public, but very soon I should put it out there. You guys will actually see it. That's number 5. Number 4 obviously was. Number 4 will be sports. Number 4, I love pro wrestling. Yes, I'm a big pro wrestling fanatic. I love the WWE. I love the indies. That's another inspiration. I won't forget when my dad would sit me down, and I was 4 years old, and watching my first wrestling match. And that was actually WWE, watching Hogan, Warrior. I could go on and on, with Randy Savage. I could go on and on with this. But I'm a big fanatic of pro wrestling. And, obviously, I'm a big Kobe fan. I grew up watching Kobe. Grew up with Magic, obviously, as well. Van Axel. I could go on and on the list. But, seeing these guys, putting the blood, sweat, and tears into sport, into something that they thrive for, is an inspiration. And it gives inspiration to everybody to not to give up, to continue. And that's basically my number 4. My number 3 would be music. Music actually saved me a lot. It kept my mind off of things. I was in a band for 10 years. I was playing for Fester Youth. I was playing with a punk rock band, Fester Youth. Prior to that, I was playing for Arsenals. So it was an inspirational moment with playing with that band. And the first thing I fell in love with music was because of my dad as well. Listening to Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, listening to Metallica, and then switching off to different genres of music, to the Eagles, to the Beatles, to Def Leppard, so on and so on. I could go on with every type of genre of music. And what made me to become a drummer was when I saw, one of my favorite drummers of all time, Joey Jordison from Slipknot. And he was my favorite drummer to see. And I fell in love with him. And fell in love with his talent, and inspired me to become a drummer. And I won't forget when I was because I've been drumming for about 15 years. Won't forget when I saw my cousin's garage. He had his own metal band, and I saw the drum set. I was 9 years old, and I ended up picking up the drumsticks and just started messing with the drums, and then just go on. And then from there, every time we used to go to his house, I would just, mess with it and play with it. He even taught me himself, and he taught me, like, okay, this is what you do. And from there I picked it up little by little, forgot about it, went back to it when I joined the band, and it went from there. So my number two would be my family. My family will be mainly my dad, my mom, basically almost everybody. My dad, because he, like any other families out there, a family that works for 2 jobs, that's pushing it to feed us, clothe us, to nurture us. That's an inspiration. It gives me an inspiration not to give up as well in life. Not to give up all because you don't have the dream job that you have, or doesn't mean that you have to give up and not to do anything with your life. I mean, it is an unfortunate, we have to do a 9 to 5 to survive. And so I want to thank my family for that, for, giving me that hope. And the main number one topic of all time is you people. All of y'all out there that I see in the streets, that I see in downtown, that I see in every corner, down the street selling, also the same as how my family was, you guys are doing the same thing, and that's an inspiration. It should have been an inspiration to all of us. The fact that these people are coming and, from nothing to be something. From selling tacos in the corner of the street, selling elotes on the street, clothing, jewelry, anything. Because if you're showing inspiration to other people, that you're working your ass off to put food on the table for your families. And that's an inspiration. It is, because there's a lot of people that are ashamed of doing that. Because there's people out there that are struggling. Some people are living off SSI, everything, no offense to them. I mean, but I'm talking about the real people. So, like, get your ass up. They're leading by example, by actually, providing food on the plate for their families and for their loved ones, and to actually inspire to be something. Because you never know, you give them a $1 tip to $5, $20. You can ask one of them one day, what do you want to be? What is it you're doing with this money that I'm giving you as a tip? Oh, they may probably want to open their own restaurant. Open up a lunch truck, or open up anything. That's an inspiration, and that's what y'all people that are working hard out there, they're doing that. That's my number one. Because I see that every day. Every day when I go to work, I see that. I see someone selling something and seeing their kids right next to them as they're working hard to give them just to feed them, clothe them, bathe them. That's the number one inspiration. And y'all should pat yourself on the back for that. And much appreciated, and best believe that you guys, the people out there that are working 9 to 5, everything. Even you guys working at a McDonald's, flipping burgers, everything. You guys are the number ones. You guys are the inspirations. You guys should actually inspire the uninspired. Because that's what the people in this society needs. And so that's my top 5.
All right, it's my turn, ladies and gentlemen. This is Ricky Lee Compton Jr., aka NoMakk. How you doing out there? I'm glad to be here again, once again. I'm gonna start with my top 5 inspirational moments at number 5, which is gonna be the setting was Huntington Park High School. It was in history class. Mr. Soberman, if you're listening, if you hear this, thank you. One day in his class, my friend was drawing this Devious picture, and he drew it. It looked just like Mr. Soberman, because that's what we used to say. We used to clown him, and he used to get mad at us for clowning him in class. Well, my friend had a great idea to put it on his desk. Well, when he came into class and he saw it, everybody started busting up. But so did he. He started laughing and he got the joke, and he knew it was me immediately who put it on his desk. So then he started bagging back, and he started clowning, and he actually started connecting with us instead of getting mad. He adapted to us, and after he gained our respect that way, he made us want to learn more in his class. His class was Psychology 101, so I mean, I learned a lot from that class, and it got me to really want to be participant in his class, and I appreciated that about him, because not a lot of teachers would go to that extent and to get you to want to learn in their class and come to your level to where you have no way about it to really combat it. And once a teacher comes to your level, it shows that they can adapt and that they're really down to earth, and they want you to learn that, and that's what it did. So thank you, Mr. Soberman. I appreciate that. Now, the fourth one would be my dad. It would be one time he was in his room and he took me. I took a music class in junior high for the first time. And well, because he sang and played instruments, that's why I chose that class in the first place. I figured if my dad could do it, I could do it. It inspired me to take that, so I went up and I asked him for help, and he began giving music lessons on the notes and on the piano. And in that moment, I don't know my dad. I don't think I ever told my dad. I never got to tell him, but I'm pretty sure he knew it, because that moment was like a really good moment for us. And it caused us to bond and really, I looked up to my dad because of it, and it helped me to want to do things that I do now, like I play the guitar, or I do hip hop music, and I write music, and he doesn't know that, but he really inspired me at that one moment, for me to continue on with what I do now. So thank you, Dad. Rest in peace. I love you. And number 3 would be it would be the NoMakk group home, the group home that I ended up going to when I ran away. There was a young man named Pete. Well, there was a number of young men. There was Pete, Morgan, all these cats, but Pete specifically, he was the one who ministered to me, and he took me to a church where I accepted Jesus and got baptized. I also learned how to play guitar in that group home. That group home was inspiring to me because I then knew what I really wanted to do. Being that I was in that group home at that moment, I started looking at what it was, and I from that age on, from that point on, I really wanted to own a group home. I've always inspired to want to do that. It's happening. Right now I work in a group home. I work in a group home for homeless men, and it's thankful to that point. I'm thankful for that moment that I got to be in that group home and really, learn what it was to be a child of the system. And so, I just thank Mr. Newman. If you're out there and you ever hear this, thank you. Number 2 would be when I received the right hand of fellowship. And it's funny, my brother brought up Pastor Beverly Bam Crawford. I call her the Mad Bomber Bam because she drops bombs, spiritual bombs on you like no tomorrow. And she's a really good pastor. And thank you, Pastor Bam. It was when I received the right hand of fellowship that inspired me to pursue Christ. It really showed me that to be part of the body of Christ it meant something, and that I was a part of it. Receiving that right hand of fellowship, it showed me a whole different aspect of what it spiritually meant to be accepted, and be part of that body of Christ. And so, and to this day, I have Christ in my life, and I think it's more thankful to that moment, those 2 moments, the number 3 and the number 2 one, that I have Christ in my life today, and I thank all those people who were involved in helping me get to Christ. I want to add another name to there. That would be Pastor Barry Reber. I just got through coming out of a men's homeless group home in Washington, where he allowed me to put some of inspired me to do some pastor skilling myself, to be able to give some sermons and whatnot, write some sermons and tell it to the congregation for him. He allowed me to that platform, and it was because of Beverly Bam Crawford that I would even think about pursuing that, or even try giving it a shot to do that. So thank you to all those people who were involved in my spiritual growth. The number 1 would be when I first recorded, and I was nervous and I was crying and angry because I was writing and spitting on the mic and I couldn't get it out. And my brothers Franco and Marcus, they were right there, and they were like, you could do this, put all that anger to the side and you could you're good. Just do it. There's nothing to it. Just put it to the side and get into it. And while that's my number one, is thank you, Franco and Marcus, for being there when it counted in inspiring me to continue to pursue hip hop and the love for hip hop and to continue writing these songs. You know, they got me to see that I was good, and well, the rest is history. And well, that's my top 5. I thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You have a blessed night.
Alrighty, there you have it. That was Ivan C, Ricky C, NoMakk, you know, Devious, Redbeard, the feared one. You know, Mr. Gotta get that right. Mr. D Brock's in the house. You know, one of your founding fathers of the movement. That was my top 5 that started off. You know, Mr. Madverblz, mad scientist, Dank Wright. He is now out in San Bernardino, and he's with his family, and he will be returning shortly. And he will give his top 5 to round it off for your hosts here. And again, I believe Ivan said it earlier in the podcast to, you know, go ahead and give us any inspirational quotes and tell us, you know, your, you know, number 1 or your top 5, you know, inspirational moments. Put it on the, you know, on the comment section, and
You never know, it might inspire somebody.
we would love to hear it. You know, as Ricky said, it might inspire someone else. Hopefully, our moments and our stories have inspired in some way somebody. If it reaches one person and one person's inspired, then mission accomplished. You know, because that's what we're here for, man. And so we appreciate y'all listening. We're going to take another break until Madverblz makes it back and gives us his top 5 to round this thing off and close this thing out. And we will get to episode 15 as soon as possible. We'll get this thing edited and get it out there on YouTube and out to the world. So for now, we're going to take a break and, you know, to be continued, as they say. Holla back, hallelujah. Alright, motherfuckers, we back. Shit, this is Brown and the Black. Beer and bullshit, but no, on some serious shit though, on the real. We about to give Mr. Madverblz, mad scientist, Dank Wright, all them different ass aliases he got, his opportunity to go on and round out his top 5, so we could go on and wrap up this episode 14. And get to the 15 quince, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna have our quinceañera episode, you know. So let me pasarle the microphone.
Madverblz.
What's up? What's the top 5 category?
Inspirational moment.
Top 5 inspirational moments. One inspirational moment is surviving homelessness. Second inspirational moment would be being a black man. It's inspiring because everybody wants to be like you at the same moment they like to hate you. So my mantra is, I'm the nigga you love to hate, but you can't. Third inspiring moment would be God directing me to do what I'm doing with the movement and stop selling drugs. Fourth inspiring moment would be being a dad. And each one of my children, which is 4 of them, have made me better as a man and a father. The fifth inspiring moment would be the 28 years of life that I've been blessed with that God gave me after surviving being shot the fuck up 13 times all at once. And I'm still in this bitch saying fuck all you haters and all your coconuts and all your Oreo cookies and peachy bandacos. That's what's up.
You heard it right, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. Top 5 from the mad scientist, Madverblz. Now we're going to go ahead and actually close this off for this evening for episode 14. You will be hearing La Quinceañera, episode 15 pretty soon. So I'm going to go ahead and actually pass these closing segments to Mr. Brox. Want to close it out?
Yeah, in closing, you know what? We're going to wrap it up right here, right now. You know what we always say right about this time. All in unison, everybody nice and loud. Let's use the acoustics in the room. Fuck you. No, I'm just kidding. All right, here we go. Ready? One love, one
Buenos nachos, everybody.
Beats and rhymes for your mind.
There you go. Good night. Say bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia. Oh, wait, no, bye. Hi, Felicia.